Hey developers, today we're going to look at the AWS Amplify library with Vue.js. We're going to create some custom sign in, sign out, and create account pages, and we're going to see how that works. Now, if you aren't familiar with AWS Amplify, I actually already did 2 videos on it. If you look in the description below, you can click on that. We already created an app, so I'm going to continue on with that app and add some more features. But if you want to kind of get started, you can look at the link below. There's a GitHub link, download the repo, and then you can just follow along in this tutorial. So if you don't remember, the last app we created, you can see here, it's on the right-hand side. I already have it running. I created a couple logins with this, and if you log in, you can see here, you get to this page, nothing special. You have a sign out button here that signs you out of it. But this is a server button here. This actually is calling Amazon's Lambda function to return back a message to us. And this is actually protected by an API gateway and can only be accessed if you are authenticated. And if you click the sign out button and log out and you click the server button, you can see it doesn't do anything. It actually redirects you back to this home page and you can't get access to the information. Now, in my last tutorial, people were asking some questions about how I set this up and how to create a custom login page and a custom create an account page. You can see here it's asking you for an email and phone number. And some people are asking how do you do it without that? So I'll take a look at that. And before we get too far, let's have a quick word from our sponsor. This video is brought to you by Coursera. Now, if you're not familiar with Coursera, they're an amazing teaching platform. They have dozens and dozens of very specialized, high-quality courses. The one I want to recommend to you today is Developing Applications with Google Cloud Platform. It's basically 4 courses in one. If you look in the description below, I have a link to the course. You can actually try out for free for 7 days, so make sure you do that. Make sure you click on that link so you can learn all about creating Google Cloud apps on the Google Cloud Platform. Check it out. Thanks. All right, so let's take a look here. Here is the code that I have so far. And what I want to first do is, you can see here I have this Amplify sign out. And this is a built-in component that Amplify gives you, and that's what creates this sign out. Well, if we go back to the home page, when you're signed in, you would see this sign out button. If I actually go back to sign in here, you would see a sign out button, and then this Amplify Authenticator creates this username and password. But we actually don't want to use either one of these. So I'm just going to comment them out for now, and we'll refresh it. You can see here now we have nothing. So we need to create a few buttons here. So we'll first start off by creating a login button. So we'll leave the VIFs for now. So I guess we'll do input here, and we'll just leave it the same here. And then we'll put a placeholder here so we know what it is. Call this login, login. And then we'll just copy that, make it type password, and we'll put in password here. And we'll put just some breaks right here. We're not gonna really style this, but you can do that later if you want. And we'll do click sign in. So now we have a really, really simple login and password right here. We do have an option down here. We could do, if we scroll all the way to the bottom, we have the style tag right here. We could just do input and then put in, I don't know, padding 16 pixels. So they look a little bit better, but not too bad. We can put a margin, I don't know, 10 pixels. So they look, I don't know, not great, but better than nothing. And you can see here, nothing special here. So what we want to do now is we'll select, we'll put some vModels on them. So we'll do vModel, call this login, and then we'll do a vModel password. And if you're not familiar with this, basically this means that this login and password is going to be bound to our data model here. So we'll have login and then password. So make sure they're defined there. And then what we need to do is do something when it's pressed. So we can have this button here. we can have a click event, and we'll just make a new method called sign in. And we have a created and computed. Here's our methods, our find user. So we'll just create a new one called sign in, and we'll just make sure it's working. We'll put an alert, hello. We save it. Yep, hello works. So that's what we expect. So we know that it's talking to it. But what we really want to do is actually try to log in. Now, we're not going to add every single feature to this login and do validations and all that. You guys can do that yourself. So I'll just show you the real basics of getting started here. So we already have this import here for this auth AWS Amplify. So we have access, since we have that, we're going to have access to this auth.signin. And if you hit tab there, it automatically creates it for you. And the reason it did that is I actually installed a Chrome extension. So if we go to view extensions and AWS Amplify, make sure you download this. This actually makes it a little bit easier. AWS Amplify API. So what it does is it gives you a bunch of code snippets. And so once you start typing something, you can hit tab and it automatically generates the rest of the code for you. So do that. This will make this tutorial a little bit easier, quicker for you. So I'll just hide this sidebar. So what it did is I created this auth sign in. What you do is you pass in the username and password to it, and then of course it's thenable. So if everything's fine, it goes here. If not, it catches the error. So what we want to do then is instead of just consoling out, we're going to actually make this a function, and we'll delete that. And then we'll do this. We have still access to the store, so we'll do this .store.state.signedin. Oops. Signed in, and that's going to equal our reason. Actually, we'll make it user. And then we'll do this .store.state.user and have that equal the user session. And then I think that's all we want for right now. Then this username, we're going to pass in this.login and this.password. So what that's saying is this login and password here, where as soon as you click on it, it's going to pass it into this function here. It's going to return the user object if everything is fine, if the login is correct. By the way, this will mean that login failed. Right now, we're not going to put any validation, show anything. It's just not going to do anything. But if everything is okay, then this user will be assigned to the store state user. And basically, by the way, we do this because this is an object, and this will return the signed in user as a Boolean. So if it's null, then it'll be false. If it's true, it'll be true. That's what that double exclamation point is. So let's see here. So if we'll have the inspect open here, and then we'll look at the networked, we'll just look at the console tab. And if we just put in some random stuff and hit submit, sign in, then I get this 400 right here, user not found exception. So obviously that didn't work. If I put in the correct one, so let's see what happens, and hit sign in. All right, so you can see here it worked. It's signed in. I didn't get any error in the console, but you can see nothing shown here because, well, if we go back to our HTML, we took out everything in here. So there's no sign out button. So let's go ahead and see if we can create a sign out button that will make it so we can sign out. So to do that, I'll just create another input. And we'll do the same thing. We'll put a placeholder. Well, actually, we just want a button, really, since we're just signing out. And then we'll do the click event on it again. And then we'll do sign out. And we'll just have this button called sign out. And now we just need to go to our methods. We have our by the way, we have a signed in, and then we have a sign in. So don't worry about the computer property for right now. So we'll do sign out. And then in the sign out, what we want to do is basically use the auth library to sign the user out, which is really easy. So we can do auth.signout. and it has the same sort of stuff that we saw with the sign in. So we can do something very similar. We'll make this function here, and then what we'll do is we'll do this dot store dot state dot signed in, and we'll do the same thing here with data. So this is basically saying too, once this user object comes back, we're just going to assign it to the signed in, so it should sign it out, and then we won't care if there's some kind of error. So let's try that. Okay, so now we have a sign out button here, and if we click on it, we're signed out. And you can see here now we're back to where we're supposed to be. Don't worry about this post little error down here. This is just the way the library works. So let's try this again. So if you put in some random one that's wrong, we just get our error here, nothing works. But if we user not found exception, if I really wanted to, I could take this and put a certain error on the screen. But if we log in, test, sign in, okay, great. And then we have our sign out. And if we click on our server button, it still works. So we're still talking to the server, and we hit sign out, we're signed out again. So cool, that's really simple. All you need to do is this auth.signout. So we want to do one more thing, and that is to create a sign up. So that way a user can sign up. So we're going to go and take a look at our, we're going to go ahead and bring up our view again, and we'll bring up our Explorer, and we'll create a new component here. So we're going to create a new file, and we'll just call it signup.view. And we're going to go ahead and just create a new template. And inside that underneath that new template, we're going to create some script tags with our export default as we expect it to be. And then we're also going to import our auth library from AWS Amplify. So those are all things we need. And then just to make sure this works, we'll have we'll create a div tag here. Oops, div, and then we'll just do hello. And then we want to have this, well, we're going to go ahead and add this to our router. So if we look back at our routes here, we're going to have a new one. And we'll just go ahead and copy and paste this to make it a little easier. And then this new route, we're going to have it /sign up. Name will be sign up, and the component will be sign up. So that will be our new component. Obviously, that's not found. We haven't created the sign up component yet, so we need to import it in. So we'll support sign up, and this is actually going to be in components. All right, and now we just need to add it to the app view. We'll create one more route here called sign up. And we'll call it sign up. And just to make sure this works, there it is. There's our hello. So everything's working okay. So let's create some files here. And we're going to create, so let's see if there's two parts to the sign up process. So we'll just create one at a time here. So we'll have a sign up here. And make sure we have our div tags because we definitely need those. Make sure everything's in here. And then in our sign up, we're basically just going to create a few inputs. So we're going to need an input for our login. And I'm not going to care about the name or ID right now. So we'll put a placeholder, login. And we'll also have a V model here. So we'll do exactly like before. This will be our login. And then we'll need one for password. And password. And we'll make that type password. And lastly, we'll need one for email. We still have that as required in our Cognito setup. And we'll put type email and then placeholder email. And once again, we'll just be kind of lazy, not really style these much. Just put some breaks at the end. If we can do that real quickly. Oops. Okay. And I guess at the end, we can also have style tag here, and we can do one for inputs. And we'll do the same thing. We'll put margin 10 pixels, padding 16. And you can see here now we have a login, password, and email. Pretty simple. And we're going to have a submit button because we need that too. And then we'll have it, we'll just call it submit. And then in that button, we'll need to have a click event, which will attach to submit. And our Expert defaults, we're going to need methods. And in that methods, we're going to have a, which we call it submit. And just to make sure it works, we'll do alert hello. And so we have emails not defined because we haven't defined these. So we'll do that real quickly. Data. We'll return our data object. Return. And then we'll just have our 3 ones, which was login, email, and password. Make sure we have commas. And we refresh it. No errors. Hit submit. See our hello. So we know we're talking, we have everything wired up. So now we just need to use our auth library. Oh, there's one other thing we need to do. There's a sign up process, but there's also like a confirm sign up where we're going to get a code back. So let's go ahead and just create those two. So it's going to be a confirm sign up. And then in the confirm sign up, we're going to also do an input. We'll just grab these two. So confirm sign up, we're going to have something called a code, which should be type text. And we're going to just call this code. And then we're going to call it probably confirm here. So now if you look here, once again, we don't have a code in here. So we'll put a code. So now you can see here I have a confirm sign up and a code and a sign up. So we'll need to do both. We'll make it a little bit nicer in a second. So for our submit, remember again, we can, it's pretty simple. We don't even have to remember them a lot. We could do auth, and then if there is a sign up one, and it goes ahead and fills it all in for us. So you can see what it's doing here. So we have username, password. So instead of being just a function that takes some arguments, we actually have an array or an object here that we have to fill out. So the first one is, well, the first one is called username, like this. So we'll need to have that associated to this dot login, password, this dot password, and then it's asking for an attributes. So we'll need to put in our email attribute that we also asked for. So this dot email, which I believe that's what we called it, right? Yeah, email. And then phone number, but we didn't ask for the phone number, so we're not going to ask for that. And these are optional, but we actually have them set. And so if it works out correctly, it'll actually go to this console log here. And this console log will actually set the user information. So what we want to do is we're going to have a user in here. Okay, and in this user information, we'll go ahead and set this user here. So we'll do this dot user equals data.user, and we'll need to actually have this information so that way we can complete the sign up. So let's see what happens when we do this part. And we'll make sure we don't have any errors. Let's see here. We got one error. So it's saying we don't have the confirm one. And then, so let's add the confirm. We'll add a confirm here. And then we'll save it. Okay, great. So now we have it. So let's create a new login. We're going to call it test 5. And then let's do test 555. And I'll add a password in. Once again, we don't have any email validation or anything in here, and I'll put my email address in, erichanchitblog@gmail.com, and I'll hit submit. And what now I need to do, I didn't get any errors here, which is good, is I need to go in and check my email. So I'm going to do that on a different screen here. And what will happen is I should get an email with a verification code, and I did. So I got an email from my erichanchitblog@gmail.com with a verification code, and now I just need to paste that verification code in here, and then click submit. And what this will do is it'll go ahead and sign me up. So let's see what happens. So I hit submit there, and actually this submit isn't connected right now, so we'll need to do the second part. So let's do that. So we have a confirm here. So we need to add in what happens when someone tries to confirm. So we can do auth.confirm signup. And this is cool here. So right here, for the confirm signup, it asks you for the username. So that's what we typed in before, this dot login. It's going to ask for the code, which we know we put in this dot code because that's what we added in here for this click. Actually, for this vModels code. And then it asks you force alias creation. Right now we have that as true, so that's just kind of default. And then at this point, basically it'll return back, everything will be logged in. So what I want to do at this point is, instead of consoling log out the data, I'm going to do this dot router dot push. And I'm just going to go to the first page. So let's try it again. So I'm going to create test 666. I'll do 777. And then I'll put a password in. And then an email, erichanchitblog@gmail.com. And then I'm going to hit submit. It's not going to do anything here. Obviously, we could have done something there. But I see I'm checking my email on my other screen. I have an email. Now I can paste it in here, and then when I hit it, okay, so what it did there is I went ahead and went to the front page, the home page. So basically it created the user for me. So let's see if it works. So if I do test 777 and then put in my password and press sign in, cool, it signed me in. It didn't give me any errors. So now I have the server information, and I can even go back to sign up again. So it worked great. One other thing we could do to make it a little bit nicer is on the sign up screen, it always shows sign up and confirm sign up. So that's kind of weird. So one thing we could do is check to see, if the user's created or not. So if we go, we'll create let's see here, create a div, if I can type it right. And then inside the div, I'll just take this stuff, put it in here, and then we'll rearrange it a little bit, and then I'll put a VF directive on here that says that VF only if not user. So if we don't have the user information, then go here. Otherwise, we'll create another div here, div. And then we'll move this stuff in here. And then inside this div, we'll have a VF, the user. So if we got the information back for the user, then we'll do that. So now if you refresh the sign up page, you can see here we don't have anything underneath there. So it actually won't appear until we create the login. So if we create a new login, let's test 888 erichanchett@gmail.com and click submit. So it created the account, everything went fine. Now we have this user because it did it in the submit. It created this user here. Now we can get the code from my other screen. We'll pop it in, hit submit. Now it logged you in, or it went ahead and created the account correctly. Now you just need to log in with it. So I'll do test 888. Oops, I have caps lock on, so I'll try it again. Sign in. Cool, there it is. So everything's working great. So if you guys have any questions about this, let me know in the comments below. This was just a real quick example of how you can create a custom login. Like I said, if you couldn't follow along with the screens, make sure to check out the GitHub link below. You can download the whole page and see how everything works. And yeah, thanks for watching. I really appreciate it. And if you guys like this type of content, make sure you click that subscribe button and click that like button, and make sure you share this with your friends. I think there's this misconception that Amazon Web Services is really hard or complicated. You know, from what I've seen, this is just really simple stuff. When you get into the nitty gritty of going into the AWS Cognito console and changing things, at first it can be kind of overwhelming, but it's really pretty simple. And one thing, once you get this JWT token, once you're logged in, you can even create your own backend Django service, Python, Ruby on Rails, and use that token with whatever security implementation that's on the backend side. And you can use that token to send back and forth to authenticate other services or other things that you're doing. So it's pretty powerful stuff, and you can do role-based access controls. You can do a lot of neat things with AWS, and it's pretty simple to get it set up and running. If you disagree with me, let me know in the comments below. I know a lot of people want to see this with Firebase, so I think I'm going to show you the next one with Firebase and show you that as well. But I might do a couple more of these on Amazon, just see how this one goes. So let me know in the comments below. Thanks.